will show where all your queries start to grow. CloudQuery project spotlight shining in the day and night. CloudQuery project spotlight, arrow done so right. Join the ride, jump on board. Performance you can't ignore. With Apache Arrow's might, watch the data take flight.
Nothing. You can hear me? I can't hear you though. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Weird. I don't know what's happening. You can't hear me. Weird. What the heck is going on? Yeah, I can't hear you either. Can you hear me now? What about now? Yeah, I don't seem to be able to hear you though, if you talk. Oh my word. It's weird, I've completely lost you. And you can't hear me at all.
Hello.
Hey, I can hear you.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man. Yeah, I don't know.
And then if I add you to here, can you still hear me?
Yep.
It's strange.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
All right. Well, if you can hear me, can you hear me from the live stream?
Let me.
Can you hear me?
Testing. I think so. I think we're both on.
All right. Let's give it a go.
Okay.
I'll cut this bit. Yeah, welcome back, round 3, to another Cloud Native Club Project Spotlight episode. Today, I'm excited to have Joe Karlsson with us to explore CloudQuery. Joe, thanks for joining. Could you give me a brief introduction to yourself and kind of share what drew you to the Cloud Native space?
Yeah, totally. I'm Joe. I'm a developer advocate over at CloudQuery. I've been in the data space for quite a while now. Let's see here. Yeah, what do I say? I'm a developer advocate. I make a lot of, I write a lot about data and databases and moving and data infrastructure, cloud security now. And I get to hang out with people like you and chit chat about open source stuff, whatever, I don't know. I honestly, it's been, I'm just excited to be here and chat with you and your little community out here. Yeah, I don't know. Especially now too, like open source is kind of changing. I love kind of seeing how like the cloud systems are kind of managing open sourceness and closed sourceness. So anyway, there's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about today, but I'm glad to be here. That's all I want to say.
Great. And for those who may not be familiar with CloudQuery, could you give a brief introduction to it and kind of explain why you and the CloudQuery team think it's essential?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a massive community of people who are already using the open source core part of CloudQuery. But to put it succinctly, CloudQuery is we're an ETL tool for syncing any data source to any data destination. We specialize in handling syncing cloud data to any data source. A lot of people who are using CloudQuery today are using us to build out things like cloud asset inventory management systems or doing cloud security audits on their existing cloud infrastructure. So pulling that down, analyzing it, and then doing things with it, saving money, FinOps. But TLDR, we sync any data to any destination, but we happen to specialize in these core competencies of security and managing your cloud assets.
Cool. So it's obviously it's recognized for its ability to be able to provide that visibility and insight into general cloud infrastructure through SQL queries. So could you kind of highlight some of the core features that make it stand out?
Yeah, I think. Okay, so here's the thing. We started as a tool for syncing out like your cloud data to any database to make it to be able to analyze it, right? CloudQuery, query your cloud data. But we quickly found that building a tool like that meant that we had to build an ETL tool. So you're syncing any data source to any data destination. And I don't know if anyone listening here has ever tried to build out their own ETL tool or a tool that syncs to any data destination. It turns out that's an incredibly complicated problem. So we actually leverage something called Apache Arrow. And the cool part about Apache Arrow, another open source tool, obviously with the Apache Foundation, is that it allows you to stream data to any different data type. So we do all the type conversions for you. So you could sync from, a MongoDB database to Postgres. You can take data from any API and send it to any database, regardless of the data types. Apache Arrow, it's built on top of that to kind of manage that. So also the other part too is like managing connectors to a bunch of different cloud API endpoints. Super hard to maintain. Most people that come to us have like tried building it on their own. They've quickly realized that maintaining that long term and fixing all the bugs is a massive nightmare, and they rely on us to help do the type conversion, get it to the database they want, and like manage those connectors for them. Other cool things, so you can write connectors to any API using any programming language. We have a CLI. We just launched our cloud, so we can manage that all for you. Yeah, you could put any data anywhere you want, which I think is very cool because I feel like data ownership is a very big deal right now. And trying to get like own and manage data in the place that you feel most comfortable, I think is really huge. So yeah.
Whistle stop tour. So I think it's no better time like the present, right? Let's dig into a demo and see what you've got to show us.
Yeah, sure. Let's see here. I can show you my screen here too. I wrote this little thing using a little magic demo. What's the word? Tool to help. Here, let me make my screen bigger. I'm looking at here. It's hard to tell what I'm even doing here. But automate a little demo. I've been working through this too. So what I want to build today with you is a multi-cloud asset inventory. So we mentioned this up top. This is one of our core competencies or core use cases people use this for. But you can build an inventory of your cloud assets in any database you want. Our most popular connections that we see are people bringing their AWS data into Postgres, but you can sync your data to any, Snowflake, BigQuery, SQLite, whatever you wanted to like be able to manage that, and then be able to analyze that in there. One of the key parts about doing this, especially for like a security audit, is that you don't want to be sending your cloud data off to other people to manage. But if you can do it all on your own or like kind of managing your infrastructure, that's much more secure. But yeah, we find people can find, cloud assets that aren't, publicly available, or they haven't been configured for a while, or their SSL certs haven't been rotated for, 4 years or whatever, right? Like you can write queries in whatever database that you want to be able to find all this stuff on there. But we'll be doing that together. So we'll be doing a multi-cloud asset inventory. We're going to be building out, connecting to AWS data as well as GCP data. And then analyzing that in Postgres. We wrote some little sample queries to kind of show you what that's possible. Yeah, all right, I think that's it. Let's just get started. I'm gonna just get this started here. So I'll be walking through it, kind of go. This is the first time I've tried a little demo like this. So hopefully it's more respectful to you guys. You don't have to watch me bumble around as I mess up a demo over and over again. We actually get to see something that works. So first thing you have to do is install CloudQuery. If you want to run it locally on Mac, you can run it with just brew install. You can also run it as a binary. So a common use case people do is they'll just run it inside like their Google GitHub Actions. So you can run it as like a test runner and automatically query stuff or do whatever. But I'm running it just as a brew thing. Great for local development. One thing you see here that it did request that I log in. So open a browser. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue as me. Log into the CLI. Boom, boom, boom. CLI successfully authenticated. Wonderful. Next thing you have to do is initialize the project. So CloudQuery uses YAML files to kind of set up what it's syncing from and where it's syncing to and kind of what data you want to sync from it. We just built this like a couple weeks ago. But it is a init tool. You can just run CloudQuery init and you tell your source, which is going to be AWS, and our destination here, which is going to be PostgreSQL. And we automatically generate a little file for you. So let's check that out.
Joe,
this is our.
I thought we were all going to get away from YAML, but alas.
No. Yeah, we're going to die. Java and YAML and SQL, I think we're going to be stuck to for at least another century. I know. Yeah, even in I actually think in the age of AI, we're probably going to see more YAML because writing text files, text-based configuration files, is something that AI can do incredibly well. I wonder if it's just going to get worse. Even more inhumanly readable as AI just gets further and further up its own ass. Okay. To this YAML file, though, the only thing that you really need to worry about is this tables thing. So this tables is the data from the AWS source plugin that we want to actually bring into CloudQuery. There is like, I think we have like 350 different tables you can sync from AWS alone. Like that'd be like permissions, SSL certs. Let's see, I wonder if I can even just show. Let's see, I'm going to just show it here. Let's go to sources, and then let's go to our AWS plugin and tables. So these are like the different things that you can query from your AWS cloud instance or whatever, and sync to whatever database you want. But I am just going to be syncing our AWS EC2 instances. But I think I actually want, I want to bring in our S3 buckets. So let's go find that one.
So I'm assuming
I'm going to write
a single source for a single cloud. Is that right? So it would.
This is, yeah, and you can set up multiple clouds. Like if you had multiple instances of AWS, accounts, you could configure those individually and sync those as well. And we'll be doing GCP as well and kind of merging that to our same asset inventory on Postgres too. So you can do whatever, but I'm going to be just doing a little asset inventory just for bucket storage. We'll go get our buckets from GCP and we'll write some queries to kind of analyze all those in one place. Because I don't know if you've ever done this before too, but managing multi-cloud instances or even on one, like they're all managed in their own places. It's gonna be hard to do, and every environment's different. They call them different things too. But if you can like get that all kind of managed in one place, that can be much easier to do. So I just want to see my AWS S3 buckets. I'm gonna get rid of this. Don't really need to, but whatever. All right, cool. So we got our little YAML file. Oh yeah, cat this out. Can ignore that. Next thing I'm going to do is just boot up my Postgres QL Docker container. All this is doing is just going to fire up Docker locally. I think I've already got it running, but we're just going to run it just in case. Yes, yeah, container's already in use. Great, good sign. We already got it running. So Postgres is running. We have our CloudQuery sync file ready to go. I'm going to just export a environmental variable locally saying where that PostgreSQL database lives. Just standard configuration stuff. Please don't hack me. It's all running locally, so leave me alone. And all we have to do to sync that is just run CloudQuery sync and then the name of that YAML file. So I've authenticated. I have like I have environmental variables to my AWS instance I've already run before the stream because I don't want you guys to see them. But that's all we really need to authenticate. So all you do, you just run it, log in it, and then sync, basically, and you can be able to get that data in there. So
Joe,
let's
can
see
you
what
run this on some kind of schedule? Is that or
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can integrate this into Airflow. We had someone that does it now in their GitHub Actions. So every single time they deploy, they go get a fresh instance of their cloud inventory, and then they run to make sure they do an audit on it every single time they run a deploy to make sure that they're still compliant and following all the rules and no other weird misconfigurations or nothing's accidentally, nothing's public that shouldn't be. But they do it on every sync, so you can automate that as much as you want.
That's neat.
Because it runs, it's written in Go, so it's deployable as a single binary that can be deployed on anything. It can be run anywhere, super lightweight. Okay, cool. So downloading an up-to-date version of our plugins, and then it should start syncing that data source. Which only takes a moment, except if you're in a demo, then it takes forever to download all that. But there we go, syncing resources. Got some stuff in, and cool, 5 seconds to download or everything. A little long, but we stream everything in. A lot of times we're beholden on the endpoints too, so we're hitting AWS's endpoints to go get that data. But 0 errors, 0 warnings, 5 seconds, completed successfully. Cool. All right. So again, we logged in, we ran init, and then we synced. That's it. And now we have data from our AWS instance into our PostgreSQL database. So don't take my word for it here. Let's go take a peek at it and see where see if that is actually true. So of course, whenever you like are playing with data, good just to do a pulse check to make sure the data is what you expect it to be. So I'm just going to go get the first 10 S3 buckets from our database that we synced in there. So I'm going to run a.
Can you clear the screen, Joe, and bump it up to the top?
I can, yes.
There we go.
I know I should run a clear here. So yeah, can you see that here? I can make it a little bit bigger too. Actually, we'll just. So we're just running a select name and region from AWS S3 buckets, which you might notice is the same name as the table we loaded in here. So it's the same name as the same table. And we're just going to get the first 10 S3 buckets we have from that AWS instance we just synced with.
Hopefully they're not publicly exposed to the internet.
No, these are all goofy. These are just test accounts we have for running tests here at CloudQuery. But yeah, so there we go. We have some test data sets that we're pulling in from just random S3 buckets on our account. Okay, cool. So we synced our data. I think I have another demo here. Another little query that's a little bit more interesting than just listing the first 3 buckets. But this SQL query will list all of the AWS S3 buckets on our account that were created within the last 30 days and group by region. Again, not super interesting, but you could show things like older accounts, when they were last updated.
Joe, is it historically keeping all of this data per kind of sync? So you have like a sync period and then all of the data with each.
Yeah, you can. Great question. You can actually set how you want to do that, but the write mode we have by default is overwrite, delete if it's stale. So if it overwrites it, it deletes it. So it's just whatever you're querying is going to be the freshest data. But you can configure how you want to do, we've had people too, we want to keep like a timeline of records. So they'll just kind of persist it in there and they don't do a full delete. But with the syncing configuration we have, yes, it's going to be always up to date every time we sync it. Okay, yep. So we're going to get we're just going to find the last 30 days and group them by region. Boom. You can see how many buckets are available in each region that have been updated. Okay, cool. Let's see here. So I think next we're going to be connecting up to GCP. I hope this works. Oh, no, never mind. We're identifying public buckets. This one I think is going to return 0 results because we don't have any public S3 buckets, but I do know this is a super popular query for people to just see if they have any S3 buckets that are publicly available and make sure that they don't. Yeah, I have 0 here, but again, good query to know if you're someone who's managing your cloud infrastructure. Okay, cool. All right, so GCP, I hope this works. I didn't authenticate with GCP this morning, but I'm hoping it still works. If not, I think I know how to fix it. So we're going to do the same thing we did with AWS. We're just going to run a init command with source being GCP instead of AWS. Cool. And again, we create a little sync file. Let's see, I'm going to make this go full screen here again. Cool. And then I need to make sure we get there we go. I'm going to get rid of this. And by default, it just loads into storage buckets on here. So I'm just going to leave it as is. But just like with AWS, you have tons of different tables. You can query like all different policies, pretty much every different compute instance, Kubernetes, BigQuery, whatever. Like you could, anything you want to query from your GCP instance, you could be querying from here. Actually, you know what? Let's just, again, don't take my word for it. Let's take a peek at it. So let's go source plugins. Let's go check out what we have available in GCP and tables. Data set locations, API endpoint locations, model locations, auth configs, certificates, for pretty much it's like hundreds of things you can be querying from those accounts. We find that people are doing audits on their infrastructure or trying to manage that or like keep track of everything. This can be incredibly useful. You can also keep track of like billing and other stuff like that on here too, which can be also helpful if you're trying to save money on your cloud bills, which I feel like is a big trend in 2024 and will continue to be in 2025. This is a great way to do that. Also, because we're open source, we're a lot cheaper to run than anyone else. You can run on your existing infrastructure and your GitHub Actions. It's a lot cheaper to use this than other tools. So I know like these are wonderful tools and I do a lot like AWS config. It basically does cloud asset management for you in your AWS account, but and it's super wonderful tool. I love it. I use it all the time, but it's super fucking expensive, and it could be challenging to use, and it's not quite as configurable as these custom tools, where you can kind of bring data from anywhere, combine it with other data sets, and then sync it to any database that you want. All right, so cool. GCP, lots of cool stuff you can sync on here. We have our GCP instances, and we're syncing again to our Postgres database, and we're using that connection string. And if you remember at top too, but we added that to our environmental variables in this local environment. So we're just pulling that in. All right, cool. So let's run that sync command. Hopefully this works. Let's download the most up-to-date version of our GCP plugin here. Locally, syncing resources. Hey, there we go. Got some resources coming through. Looks like we got 32 resources in 4 seconds with the download. We came up with this just today. We can do, you can, what's the word? Parallel. You can run your queries in parallel, so break them up too. So if your parallelize, you can, if your queries are running slowly, you can break them up and then run them in parallel and then sync them all at the same time. So there's ways to speed up queries, which is really nice as well. All right, so we have our AWS data. We synced into our database, and now we have our GCP data. We synced into our database. Let's go ahead and just do a quick check to make sure our GCP data loaded in correctly. So the first query we're gonna do here is just count the number of storage buckets per location on GCP.
Can you slide up again?
Yes, I can.
Heads are covering the.
Oh yeah, good call. There we go. I had it clear before. I don't know why it's not clearing. It's supposed to be more readable, but. So we're just gonna be pulling that in, grouping by location, and doing a count on the number of buckets on the group by. Let's pull this out so it's a little bit more. There we go. So you can see how many buckets we have per region in GCP.
Neat.
Cool. All right, so yeah, I mean, now we have a tool that's able to analyze multiple compute environments in the same database that you own. Again, super helpful if you want to do like security audits, managing that, owning all your data, and you want to save some money and buy. Or the other thing too, which I think is greatly unappreciated, is being able to get the data in a place that you feel most comfortable using it. I think when people talk, we focus a lot on like the tech specs of using different databases. And I feel like using a tool that you're comfortable with is hugely overrated or underrated. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I worked at MongoDB. I love using MongoDB to analyze stuff. I love Postgres. But if you're in Snowflake, whatever, it can be helpful to get all your data in one place. Ultimately, you just want to save money and not spin up a new data thing that you just reuse one you already have. You can totally do that. Okay. Cool. Let's see here.
I've actually used CloudQuery in the past.
Have you really?
Have indeed.
When did you use it for fun, for pleasure?
We were using it to, as you said, right, get an understanding of our asset inventory and work out things that shouldn't be there. So
oh, really?
Essentially doing that, and then
we buried the lead there. Did it work? Like, did you set it up on your own? Did it did it help you guys find anything at all?
This was a little while ago. It's slicker now from a user experience perspective. It worked great. Like I couldn't say a bad word about it. It did exactly what we needed. It was easy. It was open source. It in terms of boxes, it was ticking all the boxes. So
yeah, we find that too. Like we solve a problem super well. We're a developer focused tool. Yeah, we're doing great. I should show you too. I'll show it to you later. We just launched our Cloud Sync tool. So now you don't have to run it locally or manage your own infrastructure for running it. We can run the syncs for you. So you just hit a button and we'll sync it for you in the cloud. We'll show that in a sec here though. Yeah, developers love us. I can't list all the companies that use us, but it's a massive companies being used every day for solving, real tangible cloud problems. Okay, let's see. I think I just have a couple, like another query or two on here, and then we'll just go through like one or two of these, and then we'll
we can
go to our
some juicy questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, I want to get to our last one because I think the interesting part isn't like querying your single cloud environments one by one, which I'm doing here. What's the word? Like enriching data sets using like combining different data sources, I think is really interesting. Like this one, we'll already query next. That's going to show us combining AWS S3 bucket data with our GCP data to kind of have all of our data in one place, or kind of querying all in place. let's see if this is from both AWS and GCP. So we're going to be doing a union on both data sets to combine those into one query and get all the data about all of our buckets across all regions and multiple clouds all on our own that we're managing and handling. So yeah, we're doing a little union with from our AWS S3 and our GCP bucket and getting all the results. Boom, which is super cool. Okay, cool. Let me, can I show you our little cloud environment real quick? Let's see, am I even logged in? So we just launched this too. So I'm showing you like running this in the CLI, and we're a CLI based tool. We're built for developers, kind of managing their cloud environments, querying and syncing all that data. But we do have our cloud syncs, which are currently in beta, which is super nice. You can now manage all of your syncs all in a GUI, and we'll manage and send those data anywhere, right? I think this one I have an instance of just sending it to you can send this to like any public, like I have this syncing to a Neon Postgres database here, I think. Let's see if I can get the destinations. Yeah, Postgres. So you have like different, and I'm syncing Azure data to my Neon database here too. But you can just create new syncs, choose your data sources you've configured, or just run them in the cloud. So I'm going to do this Hacker News to Postgres, sync actions, and then run sync once. Boom.
That's neat, right? And then you can obviously run this on some kind of cadence, and then it's all just like
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you could do I think schedule weekly, daily.
Look at that.
Yeah, all from the GUI. Yeah, and there's some advanced. You can even run cron jobs, all from the GUI now too. Yeah. That's this is still in beta. If anyone's interested, you can hit me up online. I'd love to chat with you about it. We're still gathering feedback on it. It's still kind of in its early days, but I'm personally very excited about it. I think makes obviously like these developer tools, they work really well. They're super extensible, but I think that this is even an easier, faster way to get set up with it than before.
Yeah, everyone loves the UI, right? So
I know. I do too. I love a CLI. The CLI looks great. I could script this. I can write a little script right in here to do this demo, which is awesome. But it's it's not as easy to do that in the browser, but there's still some benefits, like clicks and buttons. The other thing too, it makes it easy to like share teammates or kind of collaborate on things too. So you can do it all through online too. So yeah. Oh yeah, there's all my GCP instances on there.
Yeah, it's definitely come a long way since I was using it, which is great to see.
Yeah, and we've got a long ways to go. There's a lot of stuff I'm excited about that are coming down the pipeline too. We're an open source project. We're a super small company, but we're doing great things, and we're solving real problems too. So obviously, I think that security and saving money are two key themes here, and these are like this year. And CloudQuery solves these incredibly well with the open source core tool. So yeah, that's the demo. That one, first of all, I'm gonna pat myself on the back. That demo, I know it was all scripted ahead of time, but that worked well. Didn't break. That was running live, to be clear. That wasn't like fake output. That was like I was just helping with the commands, so you guys didn't have to watch me fat finger everything while I'm typing out SQL commands.
Neat. It worked well.
Yeah, super fast. Which I do have to say, there is benefits to. I like showing people the blood, sweat, and tears that go into doing stuff sometimes with the mess ups, but it's also nice to just see things work the way they're supposed to work too. So. But it's a win-win. It's a win-win, really.
It is. So my first question to you is, what's the coolest use case you've seen?
Let's see here.
Talk about.
Yeah, I think. Let's see. I think the cool part for me, a lot of times, is like how people are implementing it. Like I said, I've seen some cool implementations with people using different. I saw a company, they're using CloudQuery as almost a blockchain. So they're using like a time series database, keeping track of like different states of their cloud infrastructure at different times. And then they could, every single time they ran a commit or a deploy, they would check to make sure that their infrastructure hadn't changed at all, and like reference previous versions of what their infrastructure looked like in their kind of
protection.
Yeah, exactly. So just like it helped them keep track of the state of it and made sure that the changes weren't doing anything too drastic to the cloud infrastructure. Because that's a tricky part of managing local development versus cloud development, is that some of that stuff can sometimes get missed when you're kind of developing stuff locally.
It's true. So I'm gonna give you a difficult one now. So
Uh-oh.
if you had to describe CloudQuery in just 3 words, what would they be?
Oh, I just updated our website actually with 3 words. Oh, what is it? Simple, extensible, and fast. So it's fast both in terms of syncing, because we're not persisting the data, we're just streaming it through, which again, it gets an Apache Arrow. You don't have to like do any like local conversion. We could just stream it through. So we're very fast at handling type conversions. We're simple, right? We just ran login, init, and then sync. And we're extensible because we can work from any different data source to any data destination.
Cool. My next one, obviously, I'm putting my kind of security tin hat on here a sec.
Uh-oh.
So, like, what's CloudQuery's approach to ensuring data security and compliance? Because obviously,
yes,
you're extracting sensitive data, right? And there's a lot of sensitive data in the cloud. So
yes,
this is top of mind for everybody.
Oh, great question. I know, and that's the number one thing. And we're trusted by so many security professionals too. I will say I'm coming from this data engineer perspective, so I may not have all the details, but I will share that you're running this on your own infrastructure. You're sharing it with your own databases, right? Like we don't touch any of that. And because we're streaming it through, we're not sending the data you're streaming through CloudQuery to any of our servers. You do have to authenticate, but the only reason you're authenticating is we're sending metadata about plugin usage for billing purposes. But we're not saving any data about, the data you're saving. And we've even had teams who are like very like concerned about it, which as they should be, about like you can blacklist domains that like, in your cloud instance, so it's not escaping at all. You can make sure that you're not data that you don't want us to know we aren't collecting it, but people are doing that, and it works just fine. Again, one of the key tools about using a tool like that where you manage on your own is you can ensure that you are the only one seeing and processing that data.
And then obviously you've kind of given us a little bit of a sneak peek with the beta release of the kind of cloud sources. So are there any other sneak peeks into some exciting features that people can
let's see, that's the big one. I spent all morning this morning talking about our cloud launch. We're gonna be doing a big push on it too though, but it's so new, we like don't know really what it's gonna look like yet. And that's why I'm so excited. If anyone is interested in it or wants to talk about it, I'd love to chat with you, because we're trying to figure out like what this looks like to the people who use and love CloudQuery. And we just don't know. I'm excited to see where that goes. But personally, this is in the spirit of the question, but we did launch our community hub, I think just yesterday. So community.cloudquery.io is our new place to like ask and answer questions, kind of like, which I'm very excited about that. Yeah, we launched parallelized queries last week. And I feel like I'm releasing like several blog posts a week of new plugin connectors that we're releasing every week, or like just hearing about the new plugin connectors our community is developing. I always love seeing the things that people are interested in syncing up to and like willing to share their plugins with the community, which is super fun. Yeah, I think those are the big ones. We're a small team, so like our cloud launch has been like taking us over, but we're always working on improving our existing plugins. And and another recent one we just had was Splunk. Obviously, because Splunk a lot of people use Splunk for security incident management, but now you can sync all of your security data into a security platform you already use. That one's been pretty exciting for us too.
Cool. And then
that's all I can say for now.
Yeah, my final one is kind of what's the vision, right? So like you've shown what was currently there today on the truck, which is kind of, you flirted with us and kind of told us a little bit about what's coming with cloud sources, but what do you think is the vision for asset management in general? And
good question.
CloudQuery fitting into that?
Okay, I think going vision for future, I think it's impossible not to talk about AI in there. I can talk, this is like years out, and I'm not sure how CloudQuery even fits in there. Can I just spin you a picture of like what my dream would be for this?
Your vision.
Yeah, I think honestly, like for me, with like doing cloud management and data management, I want an AI Jarvis to help me manage that. I want like a locally trained AI to help me keep an eye out for stuff that looks weird, is misconfigured, and notify me preemptively if it sees stuff, or even just fix it. If it sees we released 400 S3 buckets that were previously private, it's public, and just go ahead and fix those for us. I don't think we're there yet, but like at least want like help manage that. And like there is a future here where like we're syncing that data into a place where you can like train that in your own infrastructure to get AI models trained up on it. It'd be cool to see that get a little bit better.
I agree, right? I think that we're essentially building the foundations for these kind of AI models to like analyze the patterns, but also like I think one of the important things and things that I'm interested in is can it predict issues before they actually happen, right? And can it it would be cool if it could automate optimizations like across multiple cloud environments, because the tool is syncing all of these different things from different clouds, right? But if we can like ultimately, if we can just get and enable more intelligence and kind of effective cloud operations, and FinOps is the new buzzword that's going around town, and kind of your tool is got the pieces of the puzzle there, and it's now just a case of what can we do with that data.
Exactly.
The possibilities are endless, right? So
yeah, even like you're not using this, there's a cheaper version of this, you could maybe move this to Glacier, or you could handle those migrations. I know like optimizations for how to improve, and yeah, I think that would be huge. I think that's coming. I don't think we're quite there yet. I am seeing like, I know like I think, is it Microsoft Data Fabric? I'm seeing tools that are becoming more encompassing of the entire data stack and kind of your whole cloud stack, and kind of seeing those have an interesting opportunity there to like help kind of manage that. I don't think that they're quite doing AI development yet, but I do think it's soon. I think it's coming someday.
I agree. So if you're familiar with the episodes, or if you're not, there is a tradition whereby the previous guest asks questions for the next guest. So I've got a couple of questions. Brooks from Wasm Cloud was a little bit cheeky and actually asked two, and I think they're both equally great. So I'm going to ask both of them. So the first one he asked was, if you could collaborate with any CNCF project, which one would it be and why?
I don't know. That's a good question. I went to KubeCon a couple years ago too. Wasm actually would be sick. Wasm would be sick for like even building out like connectors using any, because I think we only support Go, Python, and JavaScript right now. But if you could use Wasm to like write plugins in any language using Wasm, it'd be sick. I've also thought about too like working with different communities, like even the Kubernetes community, for like making it easier to deploy or manage, or like even query your own Kubernetes instances too using CloudQuery would be sick. Honestly, I'll go Wasm. That's like a good fit anyways for everybody.
Brooks, hook him up. So I actually think this question was better than the first one. So he asked, CloudQuery's made it big, and you get a KubeCon keynote. What's your walkout song?
Ooh, that's a great question. Okay, I am very into like professional wrestling. I think about this question all the time because every professional wrestler gets their own walkout song. But this is slightly different. It's like a tech keynote. I always thought like it depends on what the talk was. But I always thought Miley Cyrus came in like a wrecking ball would be really fun. Yeah, I feel like that'd be really fun, especially if my talk was like wrecking ball themed. I think that would be really fun. Or the other one I thought would be fun is Fergalicious. I don't know if those would work really well for wrestling, but that may slay at a tech conference.
It's brave choices, but I rate them.
Have you thought about it? What would you do?
I have not. No, I have not.
Oh, funny.
Maybe I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll hold you to a promise. I'll answer that question on the next episode.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Think about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, obviously the idea of these episodes is to kind of inspire the next generation of cloud native engineers. So what advice would you give personally for someone looking to contribute to projects like CloudQuery and others?
Yeah, I think I think, okay, this, just thinking about like where open source lies and getting a job today, I still think like open source is still key for like distinguishing yourself. The job market's super hard. I think it's still really useful to consider contributing back to open source projects. But for CloudQuery, I don't know. I think we love hearing like from people who are submitting plugins and supporting them in any way we can. I think the best way, in any project, not even just ours too, but just like jumping in and starting a conversation. I think if you don't even know where to start, even just saying that, I think could be really useful. It's a two-way, communication is a two-way street, and showing like saying where you're at, I think could be really helpful for other contributors for like knowing how to engage with you and kind of helping give that context. But if you're interested in data syncing or like want to sync data to some, any database, creating a CloudQuery plugin, I think is a great way to go. But if that's not a problem you want to solve, go find a open source project that is solving the problem that you're interested in. Yeah, I think that's the number one thing for me is I don't really do work unless I care about it or if I have like a personal stake in it. So I don't know. I think finding a project you think is interesting and then just saying where you're at, I think could be a really helpful place to start.
I have my keynote song. I've just had it.
Oh,
I do Started from the Bottom by Drake.
Oh, that's a good one. But now we're here.
Yeah, now we're here.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So cheesy, but so great.
That's so funny. He's had a rough year. That's a bold choice this year.
And yeah, so what's your question for the next guest? Can be anything. Can be technical, non-technical.
Let's see here. What am I curious in? I'm always interested in like what open source project are you working on that isn't related to your work?
Okay.
Yeah. I for example, I do a lot of work with Home Assistant and the open source like home automation communities. Nothing to do with my job at all, but I love it for me. Yeah, I feel like it gets into like hobbies a little bit. Just what interests you that isn't necessarily work related?
Yeah, so yeah, I'll ask him. We'll figure it out.
All right.
It'll be Lewis tomorrow. So
good.
Exciting times. Yeah, do you have any questions for me before we kind of wrap up?
Let's see here. I don't know. When can we do this again?
When Cloud Sources goes GA, let's get on a
All right,
and do the thing.
Deal. No, I think that's it for now.
Cool. Well, yeah, thanks, Joe, for hanging out and for joining us today, like sharing your insights into CloudQuery. And for me personally, seeing how far it's come since I used it, a while ago is great to see, And thanks to everyone who tuned in, and kind of don't forget to check out CloudQuery at cloudquery.io or reach out to Joe on Twitter or LinkedIn or any others, even Twitch.
Anywhere.
He streams on Twitch.
Yep.
And yeah, stay connected with the Cloud Native Club on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And until next time, which is tomorrow, stay Cloud Native. Thanks all.